Harmony Creek was the kind of Midwest town where everyone knew your name, and your parents too. Life moved slow, doors stayed unlocked, and kids rode bikes until fireflies lit the dusk. The town square bustled with farmers' markets and gossip at the Morning Glory diner. Worries were simple: droughts, winters, or who'd win the blue ribbon at the fair. But beneath the calm, something dark was stirring. The very trust that made Harmony Creek feel safe would soon become its undoing. As autumn painted the leaves, a chill settled in, a premonition that something was wrong. Sometimes evil grows right in your own backyard, waiting for the perfect moment to show its face. Clara Mae Thompson was Harmony Creek's beloved librarian, a gentle soul whose presence seemed to light up every corner of the small-town library. She was the kind of person who remembered everyone's favorite book, who greeted each visitor by name, and who always had a kind word or a listening ear for anyone who needed it. Her smile was as bright as her passion for books, radiating warmth and making everyone feel instantly at home. Clara's laughter would echo softly between the shelves, and her enthusiasm for stories was infectious. She inspired even the most reluctant readers to give books a chance. After leaving for college, Clara returned to Harmony Creek with a heart full of dreams and a suitcase packed with new ideas. She was eager to share her love of reading with every child, organizing story hours and creative workshops that brought the community together. Her return was a homecoming not just for her, but for the spirit of the library itself. Clara lived in a cozy cottage on the edge of town, where she tended her garden with the same care she gave to her books. She was engaged to her high school sweetheart Ben, and together they dreamed of a future filled with laughter, love, and quiet evenings under the stars. She was kindness itself, volunteering at every opportunity, organizing book drives for children in need, and always ready with a comforting word or a gentle hug for friends and strangers alike. Clara's generosity touched every corner of Harmony Creek, and her spirit seemed woven into the fabric of the town. To the children, she was more than a librarian. She was a friend, a mentor, and sometimes even a second mother. Her encouragement helped shy kids find their voices, and her stories sparked imaginations that would last a lifetime. On the surface, Clara's life seemed perfect: a loving fiancé, a fulfilling job, and the admiration of her neighbors. But even in small towns, envy and hidden tensions can simmer beneath the surface, unnoticed by those caught up in the glow of happiness. Clara's happiness made her a beacon in Harmony Creek, and perhaps a target for those who felt left behind or overshadowed by her light. Sometimes the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. No one saw the darkness coming for her. The warning signs were subtle: a cold glance, a whispered rumor, a sense of unease that crept in after sunset. The undercurrents of resentment and jealousy would soon pull Clara away from the life she loved, leaving Harmony Creek forever changed by the loss of its brightest star. On a cold October night, Clara lingered in the echoing halls of Harmony Creek High, her footsteps the only sound in the darkness. She had stayed late, finishing up a project and waiting for her friend Ben, the two of them sharing a few quiet moments before heading their separate ways. The school, usually filled with laughter and chatter, felt strangely hollow that night, as if holding its breath. Clara and Ben talked about their plans for the weekend, their voices hushed in the dim corridor. They didn't know it would be the last conversation they'd ever share. As Ben left, Clara's laughter echoed one final time. It was the last time anyone heard her voice, a sound that would haunt the town in the days to come. The next morning, when Clara didn't open the library as she always did, a ripple of unease spread through Harmony Creek. The townspeople, used to her punctuality, gathered outside the locked doors, exchanging anxious glances as the sun rose. Ben, worried, drove to her cottage on the edge of town. He found her car parked in the driveway, the front door left ajar, a chilling sight in a place where people rarely locked their doors. Inside, the house was eerily silent. A vase lay shattered on the floor, her purse and keys abandoned on the table. Her coat, the one she always wore, was missing from its hook. It looked as if she'd left in a hurry, or been taken. Panic set in. Police and volunteers fanned out, searching the woods and fields by flashlight, calling Clara's name into the cold night air. The search stretched on, hope flickering with every unanswered call. As days passed, the town's hope faded, replaced by a heavy silence. The once bustling streets grew somber, and neighbors gathered in small groups, whispering fears they dared not speak aloud. It became clear that Clara wasn't just missing. Something terrible had happened. The police cordoned off her home, and the flashing lights became a nightly fixture on her quiet street. The cottage, once a symbol of warmth, now stood as a grim reminder of what was lost. Its quiet became a shroud over Harmony Creek, casting a shadow that touched every home. The innocence of the town was shattered. People locked their doors, children were kept inside, and the sense of safety that once defined Harmony Creek vanished overnight. The search for Clara turned desperate. Search dogs combed the woods, volunteers scoured every inch of the fields, but every lead faded into nothing. Answers remained elusive, and exhaustion set in. Fear crept into every corner of daily life, replacing the comfort of routine. Even the playgrounds, once filled with laughter, now stood empty and still. Harmony Creek would never be the same. The night the silence broke, the town lost more than just Clara. They lost their sense of peace, and the shadows lingered long after the search was over. Sheriff Brody, a steady hand in Harmony Creek, faced the biggest case of his career. State police joined, but clues were scarce. No forced entry, only faint DNA traces. Interviews led nowhere. Even Ben, her fiancé, was scrutinized. Weeks of dead ends ended with a grim discovery. Clara's body in a remote cornfield. The town's hope was extinguished. The autopsy's details were kept secret, but the case was now a homicide. Detectives re-examined every timeline, every alibi. The killer was likely someone local, someone who knew the town's secrets. The realization was chilling. The monster was one of their own. He could be standing beside them at a vigil, hiding in plain sight. Clara's murder shattered Harmony Creek's sense of safety. Doors were locked, children kept close, and neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. The town square became a place of mourning, not celebration. Conversations at the Morning Glory Diner turned to whispers and worry. Fear seeped into every corner. Football games, church pews, even the walk to your car. Trust, once the town's foundation, was now broken. Children mourned their librarian. Parents struggled to reassure them. Nightmares haunted the young, and grief counselors filled the school. The empty chair in the library was a painful reminder of innocence lost. Harmony Creek was under siege, not from outside, but from within. The shadow of Clara's murder loomed over everything. Months slipped by, and the case that once gripped Harmony Creek began to fade from daily conversation. The missing posters curled at the edges, and the evidence board gathered dust, but the detectives refused to let go. Even as hope dwindled, they combed through every lead, determined to bring Clara home and find the truth behind her disappearance. It was a junior detective, new to the force and still fueled by restless curiosity, who noticed something odd in Samuel Finch's story. The quiet, unassuming school janitor who always seemed to be in the background, invisible to most. Finch had no criminal record, no history of violence, nothing to suggest he was anything but ordinary. But as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a disturbing pattern. Finch's fixation on Clara had grown over time, hidden behind polite smiles and silent stares. A search of his cramped apartment revealed a shrine of stolen mementos. Clara's missing coat, a lock of her hair, and personal items she'd thought lost. Each object was carefully preserved, tokens of an obsession that had spiraled out of control. His journals, filled with erratic handwriting and disturbing sketches, chronicled his growing delusions. Page after page revealed his anger and heartbreak over Clara's engagement, twisting love into resentment and rage. When DNA evidence linked Finch to the crime, detectives confronted him. He confessed with chilling detachment, his voice flat and emotionless, as if recounting someone else's story. Finch admitted he'd followed Clara home for weeks, lurking in the shadows, convinced that if he could just speak to her, she'd understand his feelings. But when Clara gently rejected him, his fragile fantasy shattered. Years of loneliness and suppressed anger erupted in a single, irreversible moment. In Finch's mind, if he couldn't have her, no one could. The line between love and possession had vanished, replaced by a cold, consuming rage. The motive was not passion or greed, but the wounded pride of a man unable to accept rejection, a darkness that had festered for years beneath a mask of normalcy. When the truth came out, the town was stunned. The monster they'd feared was not a stranger, but someone they'd passed in the halls, someone they all knew. Harmony Creek's nightmare finally had a face that had always been hiding in plain sight. Samuel Finch's arrest brought relief but also heartbreak. The janitor everyone overlooked was the killer they'd feared. The trial was somber. Finch was sentenced to life, but justice couldn't heal the town. Doors stayed locked, trust was slow to return, and innocence was lost for good. Clara's family honored her with a literacy foundation and a library in her name. Her legacy became one of hope, not tragedy. Harmony Creek learned darkness can hide in plain sight. The story is a warning. Even the quietest places can harbor evil. A community is a fragile web of trust. Once torn, its echoes linger for generations. The night the silence broke would never be forgotten.